What up, Rednecks World? So today, I want to talk to you about some shit. Stupid stuff I see guys do online all the time. And don't understand it. Don't know why, I don't get it. Anyway, we're going to talk about headers. So these are some cheap headers. Bought them online. They fit this truck, this motor. They fit. They are stainless steel. One thing you need to do whenever you're doing a 5.4 or 4.8, these engines suck. I painted the valve covers, painted the block, didn't paint the oil pan, but we threw a set of headers on it. Partly because those are one of the biggest issues with this engine. That's a stock exhaust manifold. Cast iron, heavy. Sorry about that. These things build a lot of heat. See these black rings? So that's the actual size of the port for that exhaust to flow out of. That one was leaking. But, so the port is bigger than what your cast iron is. Cast iron super thick, builds a lot of heat, holds a lot of heat. Dumber than shit. But it's on your engine. The other thing is, these on the inside are not the way they're shaped on the outside. If it was, this one would almost be disconnected. Headers, that pipe runs all the way down to the collector right there. That pipe runs all the way beside it. That one all the way down. So does that one. A little tiny guy right there. Isn't he so cute? Oh, you could stick your finger up in there and almost touch that valve. But on a racing engine, it wouldn't matter. On a stock engine that we're putting stock pipe back on here, it doesn't matter. These are stainless steel headers. Do not ceramic coat your stainless steel headers. All you're asking for is a fire. Paint will cook off of these guys. This engine is stock. There's nothing special about this engine other than the headers. The reason we did headers versus the stock manifolds is, for one, flow. We want a better flow because that helps with fuel mileage. My stepdad went to a shop and with his Dodge pickup, see, it's all stock intake, even have some crap laying on top of it, but really cool looking header on the other side. Anyway, Dodge pickup he took in to a shop. I put an intake on it. The intake told him that the more air you put in and the more air you let out is a bad thing. It'll really kill your gas mileage. Wrong. 100% wrong. The more air you can get out, the more air you can get in, the better the engine will run. We're not doing much to this engine, but putting it in the truck. The fuel injectors are stock, coil packs are stock, spark plugs are stock, cams are stock. It's going to have a little bit of a different sound, but you're not really going to notice it. Headers don't change the sound of your engine. You can take an exhaust manifold and uncap it. Uncapped means that you have disconnected the pipe off of your exhaust manifold. With the pipe on here, it's capped, which means it runs through the full exhaust system. If you have a full exhaust system, some cars, people will cut the white pipe or they'll do whatever they do. And that's a different type of uncapping, but uncapping is uncapping. You do that on a stock manifold versus a header, the sound will be very similar. not so much that you're going to be able to tell across the board what motor has headers and what motor doesn't. In fact, a lot of motors, depending on the cam setup, will sound exactly the same. Now, headers really help with cams. If you were to do cams, injectors, and cold air intake, or a different performance intake on this motor, it would definitely help performance-wise. But these are going to help with fuel mileage. They're going to help the sound a little, and like very little. You got to be knowing that this motor has headers on it to hear the difference, really. If you paint these, that paint's going to come off. These headers get very hot. They're stainless steel. They're going to get hot. They have a characteristics that helps you also, that you want to use. If you leave your headers bare, we don't wipe these down with nothing. What'll happen is, as these get hot, they will create a blue line, and then it'll turn gold, and then they end up looking really cool. Eventually, this whole pipe will be a goldish color, with some blue up here at the bends. You want to see that. If you see blue all the way across your header, then you know this cylinder's firing, that cylinder's firing, that cylinder's firing, that cylinder's firing. If this one doesn't turn blue, we know this cylinder is not firing. Same with this one. If it doesn't turn blue at all, but this one, and that one are, then we know that cylinder has an issue. Something you're doing when you're doing a used engine. Now, this engine is used. We're not doing this for any performance gains. We're just doing it because the customer is super nice. I believe in headers. They've been waiting on this project to get done for a little while. The old motor was hard to get out. So we're making it look a little bit better and getting a little bit of a performance gain out of it, because you do get performance gains out of headers, and a little bit of a fuel mileage gain. Is that going to make them love the truck more? Yes, hopefully. This is the old engine. 5.4, same thing. I got to take that motor mount off of there and put it on this engine, but it is this one's a junkyard special. So we're deciding on what to do with it right now. Send it back to the junkyard, rebuild it. It's got 300,000 miles on it. It's kind of a pain. It loses oil pressure. I did pull that valve cover. We found out that the rocker assemblies were fucked up. Normal thing on these motors. Along with the stock manifolds rusting, or not rusting, but warping, because that cast iron gets so hot that when you take it off and you go to put it back on, it has to be milled almost every time I've messed with these motors. You got all kinds of things going on with this engine. Aluminum heads that Ford didn't really do a good job with on their the way they cut the threads for the spark plugs. Valve covers that fit like crap. Intake is questionable at times. You've got an aluminum crossover that runs up and over, and for your thermostat and all that crap, on one little pipe that runs across the front of the motor. This motor is a prelude to the 5.0, the Coyote motor. This was just a bad design all the way through, I feel, with the multiple timing chains. This is a single overhead cam, so I think it's only got two. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. This is the truck it's going in. And I don't know why Ford decided to do that. That is the biggest pain in the neck. Those studs on the flywheel, or the torque converter. You got to make sure that transmission is up, that wire's out the way, and then when we slip the engine back in, everything will go good. Those exhaust manifolds, this right here is a ball and cup. I don't know if you can see the cup. You should be able to. If you can't see it, you might be retarded. Anyway, that header has the ball side. When those go together, that will cup together, and you want to make sure it's sitting in the cup before you tighten anything. But 2 bolts, those flanges do spin and all that good stuff. So this is not a hot rod. This is a regular pickup truck. Nothing cool or fancy about it. The color is nice. I do like the color. This is one of those things that you start looking at when you start hot rodding. So this is a 4-wheel drive truck. Not a hot rod. Not trying to be. Just trying to get a little bit of benefits out of the headers. If you're painting these headers, get out of hot rodding. Just stop doing it. If you're blowing up motors left and right, I'm going to save your girl a lot of headache. Stop doing it. Anytime you put headers on, they're a pain in the ass. These headers were not easy to put on, even though the engine is out. So, if you look right there, how do you get on that bolt? Well, you can't just put the header on and put the nut on. You have to put your gasket in, then you slide your header up there and get it kind of close, then you put your nut on, spin it on, and then tighten it down a little bit. If your header fits your motor, all the bolts will line up. If it doesn't fit your engine, get out of hot rodding. It should fit your engine. You got to know what engine you're working with, what car you're working with, and how everything's supposed to fit together. If these were long tubes, they'd be a lot worse. I've done these inside the truck. They're a lot easier outside the truck. I'm glad we did this when we were doing an engine swap instead of just bringing it in and putting headers on it. But it does give that engine a lot cooler look. Looks a lot meaner. But yeah, if we were doing turbos, this whole engine would be tore down. Just because they make a turbo kit for your engine and you buy it without doing any internals, get out of hot rodding. You're not doing it right. You're gonna blow shit up, cost a lot of money, and maybe take a good engine that a real hot rodder or a real engine builder can build and make live off the market, because you're an idiot. When you're turbo and stuff, you got to think about expansion, contraction, heat, and all that good stuff, because turbos do that stuff. Supercharging as well. If you're going to supercharge something that's not naturally aspirated, you got to think about everything you're doing. How much boost are you putting to it? Do some research. Make sure it can handle that type of boost. I'll tell you one thing, most engines can handle about 10 pounds. Some engines cannot, but some engines can. Like the Subaru 2.5 non-turbo motor cannot handle 10 pounds of boost. But a Buick V6 can. It's not going to handle more than that, but it'll handle that. An LS will handle 10 pounds of boost just fine. If you're running 20 pounds of boost on a stock bottom end LS and you didn't even get in and gap the rings right, you're going to blow it up. Get out of hot rodding if you're doing that. You're just killing those motors, and real engine guys are building real power out of them. So stop playing, start doing research and doing things right. Just because it's a modern engine doesn't mean it's a better engine. There's lots of ways to build a lot of horsepower out of old engines, just like there is in the new engines. So, figure it out. I do like hot rodding. I have a hot rod. I've got a 91 Mustang you guys have seen. I've got a truck I'm building. I've got some cool shit. I've put lots of headers on lots of things. My big bad truck we put headers on, we had to notch the header on this side of the engine on that V10 because this piece had actually hit the block right here. It was just enough to push the header away from the engine right there. So we notched the header, I think it was right in here. We notched it, put it back on the engine, everything cleared. We put the engine in the truck, and the pipe actually fit just like the stock pipe would fit. It was perfect. Just a little annoyance. Some of these headers are better to do off with the engine out. Some of them you can do with the engine in. These are pretty good. They fit the stock locations pretty good on where the pipe goes. Not a lot of finagle with them. Sometimes the stock or the headers, the cheaper headers, their flanges are spun just a little bit different, and they don't fit quite right. So you got to do a little notch or something stupid. Stainless steel is a very hard metal. You can get these suckers hot, glowing, bright red. And on a steel header versus a stainless steel header, the steel will blow out because it can't contain the heat that these can. So we're not worried about heat with this engine. If we had spark plugs down here or the starter, so you can see how far away the starter is. The starter mounts down here, which is ways away from that header. And it mounts this way. So we're not worried about the starter, far enough away. We're not worried about the bell housing of the transmission, nothing like that. So we're not going to wrap these. But if there was, spark plugs down here instead of up here, then we would probably wrap the headers or get the header pieces for the spark plugs. Because, like I said, this engine is stock. We're not really worried about heat too much. If we're running race fuel or something like that, this is going to be running pump gas. It's going to pick up a little bit of horsepower and a little bit of fuel mileage is really the only thing that this truck's going to do versus factory. We're running the stock throttle body and stock air cleaner, all that setup is all stock in this truck. So we're just looking to make it look cooler, kind of an aesthetic thing, because when you look down in there, like you're only going to be able to see a little bit of that. But when you do, you're going to go, oh shit, that thing's got headers on it. This side's going to be even worse. It's going to be really, really tight, kind of like that. But when you see it, you're going to go, oh shoot, that looks cool. And that's really all we're doing it for. Other than that, yeah, there's really no sense in putting headers on these other than, like I said, those stock manifolds are just crap. I mean, this manifold is heavy, and look at that flange. That's another thing on these headers. They've got a nice wide thick flange. That's something you look at when you buy headers. These are the stock nuts and bolts. The reason I bought the other set was a couple of the nuts were stuck on the other studs on the other engine. So I bought the set because you get some studs, you get some nuts. There's about 10 in a pack. As you can see on the motor, there's only 8. One on top, one on bottom, one on top, one on bottom, all the way down. You only have 4 pipes, but there's 10 in the pack, which leads me to believe that the parts they're selling us here are for the V10. Doesn't matter. I had enough in one pack to get the headers on the motor, and they're nice and tight. They ain't gonna leak. The gasket's in there. These are notched on 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 in the middle on the bottom, the 2 on the ends here on top. I think the other side, it's notched here in the front, here in the front. On the bottom, it's the 2 in the middle. Oh, yeah, 2 in the middle. I don't know why they would notch it like that. It doesn't matter. They bolted on. The stainless steel's thick enough, it's not gonna flex or anything. Anybody knows anything about stainless steel, you try to drill these things, you're gonna wear your drill bit out before you get through the pipe. So stainless steel, very hard. Just remember that. Do not paint them. Remember that. If you paint these, ceramic coating, whatever, get out of hot rodding. Your car's going to catch on fire. And that's not a good thing. That's an idiotic move. These, you could paint with some stove paint. These, I wouldn't even put stove paint on them. Just leave them bare. They're not going to rust. They're stainless steel. That's what stainless steel is. These obviously rust. You can look at, I mean, if that was just a piece of steel, that thing would fall apart. I mean, this is an aluminum heat shield. Why would you want a heat shield on your exhaust anyway? There's nowhere to put that heat shield on here. So heat shields get in the way of all kinds of stuff. But this thing is all rotted and falling apart. It actually fell off of there one time. Oh, there we go. There it is, heat shield, right? What is a heat shield about it? It's a piece of metal on top of a piece of metal that gets really hot. There's a little gap in between here and there, but there's no way for wind to blow through it. This piece dissipates heat easier than this piece. But when this thing's at full operating temperature, when you touch this, it's still hot. Is it hot enough to light a cigarette off of? No. This piece gets hot. I don't know why you'd be wanting to touch your exhaust when it's hot anyway. This piece, oh, you're going to feel it. It hurts. I've touched these when they're hot. Just because I was doing other things to the engine and had to reach down, and I ended up bumping it, and you're like, oh my God, that's hot. But I've also touched these when they're hot without a heat shield on. They're not fun either. Burned myself worse on these than I have these. This hurts, but it's more of a direct hurt. This hurts and it's like spread out. It's crazy. It's almost, anyway. I don't have a way to do the laser thing on these, but somebody does. That would be a cool comparison to see how hot that gets versus the stainless steel. I'm betting the stainless steel stays cooler under operating temperature on a stock 5.4 or any stock engine with stainless steel exhaust on it. So yeah, just figured I'd talk to some guys about some dumb shit I've been seeing. Don't paint these things. Don't coat them. Wrap them if you can. Make sure your wrap's high quality. Fiberglass, because fiberglass is going to dissipate heat, and fiberglass is the only thing I've found that you could actually have super hot and be able to touch it barehanded and it not be hot. But a good fiberglass wrap, that'll keep them cool if you're worried about that. 90% of this shit you don't have to worry about. There's no wires run underneath or close to this exhaust, and if it is close, it's already got a heat protectant on it, because at the back side the cast iron doesn't have anything. I will tell you that the cast iron will hold a lot more heat than the stainless steel. Because the stainless steel, just like regular steel, you get it hot, you pull the heat away, it starts to cool down. Cast has a lot of imperfections. It will not. So keep that in mind. Anyways, if you're doing the right thing, rock on. And if you're not, pay attention. Do it right or don't do it at all. And I don't mean to be a dick, but I'm tired of seeing good things go to waste because somebody wants to be dumb. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the flip side. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, if you're woke, keep on scrolling. This shit ain't for you. I ain't worried about you at all. I don't want to hear no bullshit comments about blah blah blah. But like, subscribe. Let's keep up on the builds, eh?